Hello, this is David. Welcome to Part 1, Topic 3, McDonald Chapter 6, and Geman Chapter 1 on commodity forwards and futures and fundamentals of commodity spot and futures markets. So these two readings are both assigned, but there is overlap or redundancy between them because the basic topic here is the forward pricing. There is also overlap between McDonald and John Hall's chapter on pricing of forwards. So you can see that forward pricing gets quite a bit of attention in the Part 1 FRM, and maybe there's a little bit too much redundancy because we do have to deal with the symbolic and notational difference between McDonald and John Hall. I would say the most significant difference is that McDonald has a discussion on the lease rate, which John Hall does not really include, but what they share in common is they're both anchored on the cost of carry model. So this will be very consistent with the cost of carry model that we looked at in John Hall. The associated workbook here is T3.McDonald.6 commodities. The 6 is because it's chapter 6 at least in the second edition here of McDonald. And then that includes two worksheets which illustrate the arbitrage concept, the cash and carry in particular, and then also the forward curves for some of these commodities. So we'll see those snapshots shortly. So we're asked to define a forward strip or forward curve. And so if we imagine ourselves at a point in time, so roughly that would be today, early September 2013, there are several simultaneous forward prices at any given point in time. There's a forward price for any number of future dates, and that set of forward prices constitute what we could call the forward curve, sometimes the futures curve if it's traded futures. This happens to be for a light sweet crude oil futures contracts. So this is an exchange traded futures contract, but it would still be okay to call this a forward curve. And we can see that it's upward sloping, and later we'll see that we could technically call this a contango where we observe upward sloping, and we see that distant prices are higher than current prices. Probably this is the more intuitive shape. It's not always necessarily the shape of the oil forward curve. Oftentimes historically it's in backwardation or inversion, but at least not so today. How do we create a synthetic commodity position? Well, the idea here from McDonald is that we can buy the commodity at a spot price, and that would represent ownership. And we can synthesize that ownership, which is to say we synthesize a long position by investing in cash and going long the forward contract on the commodity. So the forward contract itself, you'll recall, requires no principal or purchase. We're only going to need to collateralize that or provide margin in the case of a forward. In the case of a